Yo, Tundra! Welcome to the second episode of our Snowy Bevilex 2025 installation modded Oblivion guide. I am editing Snowy from the future, and I wanted to just mention that I went ahead and renamed the folder, including the zip file you guys are going to be downloading, to Snowy Bevilex Oblivion 2025, so it's not confused with my alter ego, Sammy Snow. So keep that in mind when navigating moving forward in the future. But thank you guys for tuning into the first episode. We're going to jump straight into this episode, going into the stability, OBSE, and fixes and patches tab of our modded Oblivion playthrough. We left off getting the Elder Scrolls 4 edit tool installed on the PC, but also in post, I went ahead and explained, make sure you guys have WinRAR. It's an archiving tool and utility that you can use to zip or RAR your files later on, which we're going to be needing for this episode. Okay, so navigate to your root folder and let's go to stability and OBSE fixes patches. We'll go ahead and open up OBSE, and now I'm expecting you guys to open these up and verify that it's the same exact version I have listed for any of the below mods. We'll extract all. Now, if you are curious about how OBSE works or anything that we are installing, just navigate to that Bevilex master mod list to learn more. This video is almost entirely about getting your game to run the same as mine. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and grab the OBSE 1.2.416 DLL, the OBSE editor 1.2, the OBSE loader, and the OBSE Steam Loader DLL. You do not need the data folder, but if you want to have an OBSE ini, you can take the data folder. So I'm going to copy those, and this is where we're going to start deviating. I'm going to be using this right panel. We're going to go ahead and open Oblivion's root folder here, and we're going to just copy them. Make sure it says copy and not move, unless you do not want to keep any of your mod files after you're done installing. This is also a reminder to ensure that your Steam overlay is off, even though OBSE's page in GitHub says to leave it on. Make sure you turn that off for future compatibility of mods we're installing later. Additionally, the Steam Loader.dll is supposed to open OBSE and have this running when you click play Oblivion here within Steam. That's what it's supposed to do. But as of Windows 11, as of late December of 2024, for the 2025 build, that's when I wanted to have this out by, you cannot open Oblivion via Steam, and you cannot launch it via Rybash. And let's actually reopen Rybash now that we have OBSE installed, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's go ahead and do that. You're now going to see a little green check mark in the bottom left that says OBSE enabled. And then when you hover on the Oblivion, now it says launch Oblivion plus OBSE. This also does not currently work with Windows 11 and is something that is an ongoing bug. Still, as far as I know, in the modding space, I have not seen anyone find a solution other than by running the physical OBSE loader. The .exe file is going to be our workaround. So what we're going to do is open this to make sure that OBSE is working, and I'll show you a couple ways to check that. Double click it, should automatically open it this way. So we're going to go ahead and click new. We'll start a new game. And then we will quickly just put a name in. We'll call him Test. Okay. If you press the tilde key, it will tell you the version of OBSE you're running. Now, this is supposed to be 22.11, so I do not understand why it's saying 22.10. I downloaded and tested this multiple times before trying to make this guide, and I do not know why it says that, but I am using the 22.11 from the GitHub link that you also have in your zip file. Alternatively, you can make a save and you can make a new save. So as a save successful, we can now quit. And then what we'll do is navigate to where our saves are. To get there, again, you're going to go to your C drive, users, your account, OneDrive, your documents, your games. So that's if you're using OneDrive. Then you'll find your saves here, and you're going to see actually now all these blending bash things. These are all from, well, next to your ini. That's going to be from the RyBash installation. So make sure you sort where you can see the most recent saves, and you're going to want to make sure that you have a thing that says OBSE. It's a type of file that's now going to save alongside the save you just made. So make sure that you also have the same time stamp on them. So mine were both 4:02 p.m. So make sure you have the same timestamps, as it can be confusing if you're deleting and then like, your OBSE isn't working. So that's how you can make sure OBSE works. But the catch is that the only way to open Oblivion with OBSE now is by loading the OBSE loader. Using this independently every single time. So the way I'm going to do this, the way it's going to work, is I'm going to create a shortcut. I'm going to move this shortcut to the desktop. Wherever you want your main shortcut hub, put it there. You could put it, like if you want to launch, I actually might do it this way. I kind of want to launch it via my game folder. So we'll just do this. We'll go to games. It might look kind of weird, but I'm just going to throw the shortcut into the games panel here we just made. And I'm going to name it Oblivion. You don't need to have like a file extension at the end because it's a shortcut directly to the exe for OBSE. And I'm going to go right click properties and I'm going to click change icon. And it says it contains no icon. Choose a path. Yes. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to hit browse. And mine already opened in my Oblivion folder. But what you're going to want to do is go navigate to your Oblivion folder and click on the oblivion.exe and hit open. And it'll actually take the icon. And you can click apply. And then now you get this icon. And now what I'm going to do is drag this. I'm going to link it to my taskbar. So this is where I kind of have an incognito Oblivion now. That's not going to be opened through Steam, but it will trigger it when I click this. And it's going to make the OBSE launcher. Now let's make sure we did that correctly by launching it via this new shortcut. I'm going to launch mine from the taskbar. Saw Steam say it. Okay, we're going to load the save we made. And we're actually going to make a new save. Save. So there's the 189. We just made this one. Test. We're going to make a new save. So save successful. We're also going to double check while we're here that OBSE even loaded. It says it did in the console. Can now exit. Okay, so let's open up the saves and refresh. Make sure you refresh that because sometimes it'll save the OBSE a little bit lower. And there it is. Save 190 OBSE. They're both there. So my OBSE is launching correctly. If you cannot get past this point, you have got to get this working. Otherwise, we won't be able to finish even the stability patches, the core files, the things we're going to be installing rapidly now. Okay, now that we have OBSE running, we can now go back. I'm going to delete the original folder because I'm keeping duplicates. Okay, now that we're done with the very first install OBSE, we know it's working, we're going to move on to Oblivion Stutter Remover. So this is going to be our first zip installation. Make sure you go to RyBash and make sure on the installers tab. If you're on the mods tab, you will not be able to install the way we're going to with the installers. So pull up the newly downloaded Oblivion Stutter Remover. You can always see my version on the screen here. It's also on the text file that you guys are going to see when you open this tab. We're going to move this in. And it says you've dragged the following files into RyBash. What would you like to do with them? We're going to say do not show this in the future. I like to copy. And the reason is I like to have a backup. Mods with Elder Scrolls often get depreciated. The modder moves to a different site, takes them off the internet, or something happens where the mods are unavailable. And I like to keep them. So I'm going to click copy. So now I have, if you notice, in the folder, it's still here. And I also have it here. And where this is being installed to is if we go to games, actually common, So this is where our games are. We're going to go to Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Oblivion Mods, Bash Installers, and look, it has been copied. 280 kilobyte size. 280 kilobyte size. It's the identical file now put into Rybash. So it's in 2 locations currently. But if I were to ever uninstall Rybash or Oblivion, I wouldn't want to risk losing my only version of the mods. So I'm going to keep mine in their respective folders for now. Okay, so now that's installed, we are going to go ahead and show you guys how installations on Rybash work. You're going to see it's red. This means the package is not installed currently, and you can't just check mark it. You can double click it and it'll open it. You can hit enter. It'll open it. But we don't need to look at the zip from here. We don't have no reason to at the moment. But it's helpful to see what it's doing if you ever want to troubleshoot. We're going to go ahead and hit install. And it's going to say, warning, this has a DLL. That's not good. Like, they can be malicious on your computer. But we trust this. We're going to hit yes, and now it's green. So this is installed successfully. All right, so next is the OSR INI replacer. So you want to ignore this if you're using a thing called orc. So if you follow the guide and you know what you're doing when you're watching this video and you plan on using the orc specific, you don't really need this. There's an FPS stabilizer built within orc. So if you're planning on installing that later, if you know what that is, when following the Bevilex Modlist, then you can ignore this. We're going to go ahead and install this. I'm actually going to be using Oblivion Reloaded, but it's an unofficial E3 version. So I'm going to install this. It might just be redundant once we install Oblivion Reloaded, but we're gonna have it anyway. So this is the snowy version of the Innies. There's the Bevilex one if you want to use this. You can also get a link to go download it. This is the only file zip that I provided you guys. It's my own edit of the Innies for the stutter remover. Once we install this, it should cap my FPS on this computer at 80. Super far future editor Snowy here to quickly comment that anytime Snowy references stutter remover, the Innie that you would be using if you use the Snowy version is actually going to cap you guys at 65 FPS. 80 was basically redundant as it was just pushing the graphics card a little bit further for no reason. So it is currently capped at 65 rather than Bevilex's at 55. Thanks, guys. You can use 60, that is, I think, or 55, which is what Bevilex has, but I was getting screen tears. So I've made my own. We're going to take this and we're going to move. And you'll notice it just threw it in, Snowy Stutter Remover Innie file. So now I'm going to click install, and you can see how it's yellow. This means it's going to override something, which it should. It's going to be overriding our stutter remover. Following Innie tweaks were created because the existing Innie was different than what Bane installed. And it's going to be the SR, Oblivion Stutter Remover, old settings, Snowy Stutter Remover, Innie file zip. So this is now going to override, and that's what yellow means, is it's now going to be overriding. And if you click on it, you'll be seeing on the right side configured files. You'll see them there. And you're going to see that they're actually configuring the same file. And you can actually go conflicts. You can see higher, which is going to be the Snowy Stutter Remover Innie that we've installed over a top. We can also verify that this works. Oh, we just got to follow. No, Mrs. Emulation. Thank you for the follow. Let's go. We got to follow while we were doing the recording today. Welcome to the Tundra. Okay, so let's test that OBSE works. Remember, don't launch Oblivion anywhere else other than the new shortcut we made, or just directly from your OBSE loader. Now, if you're in the future and OBSE has an update and the one you're installing has fixed this problem with Windows 11 conflicts, then just double check that OBSE loads in your console and double check that it's creating an OBSE save. Then you don't need to do it this way. And what we're looking for is the amount of frames. So I'm going to pull this up. You might even see it. Top right. I'm running at an FPS of 81, which is perfect. So notice how smooth the game looks. It should be very smooth for you guys. But the FPS stutter is working. The FPS is exactly where I set it out in my own Innie file. We're just going to quit. We know OBSE is working. And now it is time to move on to the engine bug fixes. Now remember, with the first, the innies we just installed, make sure you only install one. You do not need both. Either Bevilex's or mine. Next, you're going to go to engine bug fixes, and we're just going to grab this, move it in, install. Yes, because of the DLL. There's a little flag on it. We're going to trust it. Okay, next is going to be the 4GB RAM patcher. Now, you only need to use this if you're using Steam or anything that... Basically, if you're using the GOG version, then you don't need to run this. But we're just going to go ahead and extract all and click extract. We're going to open this up and we're going to grab the 4GB patch. Open this up. Hit yes on the allow. And then we are going to grab the launcher. I'm going to open that first. You're going to find this. By the way, you have to navigate to it in this window. Find your Oblivion folder. Find the Oblivion launcher, exe, hit open. And it's going to say executable successfully patched. Click another file. Grab the Oblivion exe, hit open. And that's also patched. Hit OK. And you just expanded your game to allow 4 gigabits of RAM rather than the base 512. And I believe the cap was 2 prior to the patch here, but don't quote me on that. We can go ahead and delete that now. Next is going to be Blockhead. So we're going to just grab this, drop it in, right click install, and yes. Okay, a quick little update. I was looking at Bevilex's list and they recommend that we should probably manually install some of these. I was looking at our plugins folder. They are being installed. OBSE plugins, they are here. But a manual install is recommended, and I'm not quite sure why. So they say a manual install is recommended. Download the latest version of these mods, extract them, put them in your plugins folder. I've done it without doing this before, but I think what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and we'll back up and we'll manually install engine bug fixes and Blockhead, and I'll show you guys how to do these. So we're going to go ahead and do uninstall, and we're going to click delete on your keyboard. I'm going to delete this completely because I have a backup. We're going to uninstall the engine bug fixes, and I'm going to also delete this. Now again, like I said, I'm a novice modder. I just want to do it by the book so my game works. And I forgot that I did initially do a manual install when I did this build previously. So we're going to go ahead and grab the plugins folder. This is in my common Oblivion data OBSE plugins. You're going to see only thing there is still that stutter remover we installed. And we're going to go ahead and grab a new window, and we're going to install first the engine bug fixes. We're going to go ahead and extract all. Here's the data. We only need to grab the plugins and the ini, and we're just going to actually copy those, and we're going to paste them in here. That's a manual install. We can delete that after we're done, the main folder for it. Okay, then Blockhead. Alternatively, you can do this. You can extract this single file, which is what I'm going to be doing. Okay, next is going to be menu Q. We only need the plugin and the folder. So we'll grab those, drag them in, drop them. Okay, the silent voice. Whoops. For the LEs, universal silent voice, just grab the DLL, the .lib, and the .mp3 files. You don't need the text. We're going to put those into the plugins. Diagonal move. We're using a mod called Walk Blessed. Put that in. Next is Sky BSA. The OBL mod limit fix. That is going to be helping with the amount of plugins we can use. More engine fixes. Blues engine. Okay, next is faster sleep wait for OBSE. And we're manually installing these into the plugins because it was just recommended that we do it this way. Plenty of people I've seen just install these as a zip, and it'll automatically get thrown in here from their Rybash. So just use your Rybash if you'd like. And if you know what you're doing, I'm only following the guide to a T. I just want to get this working. List missing mods on load is very, very helpful. Oblivion display tweaks. And once again, on Bevilex's page, there's a little bit more explanation on what these all do. If you want more detail, I'm just here to install and show you guys the build. Next, we're going to be getting to the unofficial Oblivion patches. The Oblivion unofficial patch. This is what we're going to throw into our Rybash. Finally, we're going to be using. We got some DLLs. We're going to be trusting, yes. Make sure you have the plugin filters enabled on everything on the right side that's checked. Okay. Next is the unofficial Shivering Isles patch. We're going to do the same thing. Drag into the Rybash installers and install. We have the unofficial DLC patches. Right click install. You can see all the plugins we're going to be adding in. The filters for it. Okay, now we have the floating weapons fix. Also right click install. And these all have ESPs. So once again, when we have a new ESP in the plugin filters, they'll go into our data area of our Oblivion. Rybash will put them in there, but it's important we have them in the correct order. Specifically with Rybash, installation order matters a lot. So we're going to have to run boss once we're done with this entire section with any of the new ESPs we've thrown in. I've put an optional Dawnfang, Dustfang hotkey fix. We'll explain later when you guys see in the Let's Play, but if you're this far into the build and you want to have a permanent hotkey for this particular item, no matter the time of day, you don't have to reset it. You can use this. Now, I don't normally hotkey this item, so I'm going to skip this, but it is optional. I'm going to keep it in there in case I do want it later. Next is going to be the torch hotkey set as 9. I think this is kind of a must-have. This will be extremely nice in those especially dark lit areas where we can just plot a torch with any hotkey we set. I'm going to set it as 9 on my keyboard. That's the default, so. Okay, so looking at the torch hotkey, it says that we need to go into the data folder with these on the mod page. So I'm actually going to make a custom version of this, and here's how it's going to work. I'm going to click extract all. We're going to extract the folder, as you can see here. And we need this to go into a data folder. The Oblivion data, like this. So to make Rybash know what that is, we're going to take these, the ini and the ESP, put that into a data folder. Then we go back, it'll have the GoGo Torch hotkey, 7-zip. Actually, it says 7-zip twice. Let us fix that as well while we're at it. Editor Snowy here again. While you're editing the name of that folder, add -custom at the end of anything that you're editing to make custom. The reason is if you accidentally try to use WinRAR to zip a folder and that has the same folder name in that directory, they'll just combine them and you'll essentially be screwing up all the work you're about to put in. So instead of just deleting the .7z that Snowy is currently doing on your screen, add a -custom at the end of your folder if you're going to follow along with him. Thanks. So now we're going to go ahead and add this to the archive. This is where having a WinRAR pre-install can be super helpful. The alternative, if you don't install this program WinRAR, what you can do is just open this extraction. I'll show you actually. So it's going to be here. Instead of making the data folder, you have this here. You can just put this directly into your data right here. The Steam Apps Oblivion data. The only issue is that you won't be able to uninstall it through Rybash if you need to troubleshoot. But the way we've done this is by making our own zip here. I'm actually going to rename this. We're going to probably name it custom with a dash. because that way I know in here I've made this myself. Okay, so I'm actually going to keep the old one, keep the custom, delete the main folder, or we're going to drag and drop the custom, the one I just made. We're going to right click, click install, and we're going to make sure that it just installed that into my Oblivion data folder. So let's go to data. So again, Steam Apps Common Data, and you can see INIs right there. The GoGo Torch hotkey is indeed there, and we're also looking for the file, the GoGo Torch hotkey ESP, which you can see that it actually has that as a plugin when we installed it, when I highlight it. And we can also see that in the data folder. If we scroll down, you will see GoGo Torch hotkey ESP. So we've just made a custom install for it. Next is going to be droplet torches. You guys are going to see there is a base mod for droplet torches and an add-on we got. Let's go to the base mod. Let's check it out first. Okay, yeah, this one also we're going to have to rebuild. Now to do that, it sounds more confusing than it is, but you're going to want to make sure you have WinRAR for these. WinRAR is going to be something I will probably add into your guys' build as one of the programs you can install at the beginning. But it'll allow you to do what you are seeing, where we can repackage these. Alternatively, you will have to do the manual way, but I'm going to show you as if you have WinRAR at this point in the video. Okay, so now that you guys have WinRAR, we're going to go ahead and extract this here. Open the folder. You're going to see there's two duplicate folders. When this happens, I just like dragging the files and putting them in the folder previously, deleting the old folder, so that way it's easier for us to edit from here. According to the README, there's a sound patch included, and it says unrar the sound patch rar in your Oblivion data folder. So what that means is we're going to have to extract it. And we'll probably just extract it here like this. And it just gave us a sound. So in our data folder, you guys should see a sound folder. It's basically going to auto add these sounds to it. Beautiful. So we can go ahead and delete any of the readmes. We're keeping the original file anyway. You can delete the extra rar with the sound. And because the ESP and the drop lit torch hotkey need to be in our data folder, we're going to go data, and the sound also needs to be within that folder. You see this? Data. You can just follow. Move all of these into that newly created data folder we just made. And now we have a custom. So we're going to rename this before we rezip it. Custom install. We're going to go ahead and add this to our archive as a zip. And we can delete the folder we just made. And let's make sure it works by dragging it in. Clicking on it, it says Droplet Torch OBSE ESP on the right for the plugin filters. We're going to hit install, and let's double check our data folder now has everything we just added with a refresh. We're looking for Droplet Torches hotkey and ESP. They are both there. And we are looking for sounds, and it would have been in the FX for items. So if we don't like that, we can always remove the sound later and reinstall it. So now we're going to get the second part of this mod, the add-on for droplet torches. And there's going to be a hotkey guide for this. Okay, so this second add-on is the one that allows us to drop torches with a hotkey. That's actually what this allows us to do. The other one just drops the lit torches. This one allows us to drop them with a specific hotkey of choice, which will be super immersive for us. There's also a hotkey guide I put in here with the scan codes. If you're interested in figuring all that out, there's some info on how to do so, but you can just follow exactly what I'm doing and you'll be able to move along on your way. So we're just going to move the add-on, drag and drop it, and we're going to click install. Now the way we would change the hotkey is this here. So the default is 9, but if you want to change it, there is a way you can get the key code and generate it. I added the website that, because the other site is down, the one that was provided. And here's from the mod page. I went ahead and got a different site that has the DirectX scan codes from Nexus. And with that, we have finished the stability OBSE fixes patches part of this guide. So now that we have finished the stability OBSE fixes and patches, you have quite a few new plugins here you should see when you click on mods. And what we're going to do is grab this thing called the bash patch. We'll explain that later, but you're going to click on these. Anytime that you click on something where we need to get a dependency, you're going to click OK like this. And we're going to check mark every single one of these. Click OK if there are dependent ESPs or ESM. Should just be ESPs. And then what we're going to do, now that these are all registered, we're going to click boss. So that's that program we added in. This will load order these for us to where they don't conflict with one another, because load order matters quite a bit. And here's my boss loadout. Had 2 unrecognized plugins, so we're going to check what those were. 0 warnings, 0 errors, and 28 total. Now, we're going to have to create a manual location for these. Yeah, so the droplet torch add-on, we want actually right underneath droplet torch. Okay, so after running boss, it said that there were 2 unrecognized plugins, and it's under my understanding that because I've added in the droplet torches here, what we're gonna have to do is create a rule and exception so you don't have to keep on dragging these to the right locations where we want them. So what I'm gonna do is have this load after the droplet torch ESP, OBSE one, the add-on, and then I'll have the go torch hotkey load right after that, if that makes sense. So we'll have them in order. So the way we do that is we're gonna have to open up boss. So you navigate to where you installed boss. Remember, we installed mine next to Steam. Boss. And you're going to load boss GUI. So this might seem confusing, but just follow along and we'll get this sorted. Just click edit user rules. You don't have to pay attention to all this other stuff for now. We're going to make a rule. So under rule editor, click that. And we're going to make a rule for droplet torch ESP add-on at the bottom there. So type it in, droplet torch OBSE space dash space add-on. .esp sort item, and we could say insert at the top of something or sort it after or before, which they're kind of backwards. So if we hit sort before, it's gonna have it sort on the list on the top down before we get to the next one. Like if you're looking from the bottom up, it's a little bit confusing. So we'll type in the one that we want it to sort after, with it saying before here, which is going to be droplet torch lit torch OBSE.esp. We're going to click create new rule, and you can see sort droplet torch OBSE dash add-on ESP after droplet torch OBSE.esp, even though we clicked before here. But we want it to be now after the go torch hotkey. Go space. Oh no, it's no space. Torch hotkey. .esp. We're going to create a new rule, and it says it's now going to be loading it before the torch hotkey, but after the regular droplet torch ESP, because it is dependent on it. And we actually need to also add in a rule for this go torch hotkey ESP. So I'm going to copy this and we're going to paste it here. And this is going to be always loading before DLC horse armor. So we're going to type in DLC horse armor. Oh, not unofficial patch, just horse armor. ESP. Now, if we run into any issues with this, we're going to come back and edit it. But we want this to sort technically before this. So if we click after, it'll sort it that way. We click create new rule, and it says go torch hotkey ESP before DLC horse armor, which should resort it when we run boss. If I hit save and exit, and we hit run boss, My boss log now shows 0 unrecognized plugins, 1 inactive, which is that bash patch that we didn't activate before. And now if we go back to Rybash, all I did was click on it and it auto sorted with boss. And it just put our droplet torch and go torch hotkey in the right place with the dependencies here. That at least these are listed as the master files. So now that that's done, what we're going to do is test to make sure the game works. We're going to force in some torches. So I'm going to go file, or rebuild patch on our bashed patch. What is a bashed patch? So a bashed patch is something that will take all these ESPs and make it multi-digestible by the game's engine, by Oblivion. As you can imagine, when you start adding in so many different mods, so many different plugins, it has a hard time reading sometimes in between the lines if something gets like skipped, or if it's reading one mod but then the other mod that normally would fill that space based on your install order gets messed up because of the way it's reading the plugins. You have a bashed patch. Now bashed patch, you want to hit OK on all these, and we're going to go ahead and just click build patch. The DLC spell tomes, all these should be checked. They are. It's just the bash patch is going to uncheck some of these and fill them with like little symbols, which you were going to leave. But as long as this is active afterwards, our Oblivion will be able to run through the bash patch, and it's going to be extremely helpful. That's really what this is for. If you want to see any of the details on it on the overview, you can look through this. But let's make sure our game doesn't crash. We want to activate the bash patch, and you're going to see these little symbols. We got check marks and we got pluses now. So these were actually combined through our bashed patch to help limit the amount of ESPs and bloat we have in our data folders with our Oblivion. Remember, don't run it from here. It's tempting in the bottom left. We have to run to test using the OBSE_loader. All right, no crashes so far. This time we'll start a new game. Lots of new plugins. Okay, so we'll make a test character again. And you can see this. This is normal when you try to type. See that? I can't remember what plugin specifically does this, but if you click, it'll hook you back in. And if you try to move around, you can only move so far while you're holding that click. It's just something to note for the character creation. With this current build that we're using, we'll do another test. It's only annoying when you're naming. And an unofficial Oblivion patch did load. That is good. We got the autosave. Fix follower face debug. Good. It's working. Okay, so we can do is type, we can check this out. Droplet torches initialized. An unofficial Oblivion patch, low level processing, fix done. So now I can do cock way. This will teleport us outside the Imperial City. You can see how the game looks currently. Music's working. So we're actually going to just quit. We'll make a save though. We'll save over the old save since we know OBSE is working. We're going to quit. But we're going to go ahead and navigate to our Oblivion ini. And the way you get there is via your C drive, users, your account, OneDrive for me, my games Oblivion, and then the Oblivion ini is going to be here. We can actually see this here now. We're going to navigate to where we see full screen. I don't want full screen anymore. We should be able to do borderless windowed. So we'll save that, and we're going to go ahead and relaunch OBSE. And I should be able to alt-tab now. Okay, you guys see that? Oblivion. It should be fully borderless window. It's so nice. Okay, so there's a few things I realized. Number one, I do not like the sound of not having the torches, so I'm actually going to be going back and uninstalling a few of these. So droplet torch and regular droplet torch here, we're going to uninstall. That way I can edit the custom on the zip and reinstall it. So we're going to actually delete this one, droplet torch, and going to delete the custom. We'll keep the go-go torch hotkey. That is set. There's something to note though, that I did change the hotkey here. It has to be using this here, a direct X button scan code in decimal notation. And you have to make your own line. So you have to take this, copy it, and then put it underneath this. When they have the semicolons here, it's not actually reading anything, the mod or ESP for it. So you add it in, and I want mine to be specifically numpad plus, which is a weird one, but it's for my mouse. That's what I need for my other streams. So I have it set at 78. You can find the list of these with that link right up here, and you can see mine is right here. The direct X code is 78. So that worked, and I was able to test that. So change yours to whatever you would like. Editor Snowy back once again to quickly help you guys out with what Snowy kind of failed to explain. He was just editing a go-go torch hotkey shortly after deleting the Droplet Torch OBSE- add-on and the Droplet Torch OBSE v2 custom that he had made. So I'm going to quickly show you how to locate that any file if you want to change your torch hotkey, because he failed to showcase that. So you're going to see here on the left side, I have the data folder, and within the data folder, this is where you're going to be finding the all the ESPs, all the any tweaks, all these things, all the OBSE plugins. But under any, just any, no, not any tweaks, but any, you will see go torch hotkey, and this is exactly the file that he had pulled up right here for you guys to see. That the set go torch hotkey DX key code is 78 for my particular situation. So my mouse button is set to that. Now you again can find, as he had shown, those direct X button scan codes via this website here off of the wiki for Nexus. But you'll want to save that before continuing to reinstall what he's about to show you. So if you're going to want to change your hotkey, now's a great time to do that. If your hotkey doesn't save, make sure you just right-click, uninstall go torch hotkey from your Rybash and reinstall it. But we're going to quickly remake the droplet torches. I did not like the sound that we got rid of. That sound, I want to get rid of that folder. Okay, so we're going to recreate our custom version of this. We're going to recreate it because I want to get rid of the sound patch that we made. So I'm going to delete the sound patch. We don't need the readmes. Just in case, we'll double check. Oblivion data directory. We just do data, grab these, and I'm actually going to move this. We don't have duplicates. And then we're going to rename this. Custom. Now you don't have to do this if you don't mind the sounds being muted. Add to archive. Zip. Okay. Now we got our custom. We can delete the original. Grab the custom. We're going to reinstall this. We're going to grab the add-on once again. And we're going to also install this. Now, as far as dropping the torch, I do not mind the hotkey. I think 9 is totally fine, so I'm going to leave it as that for now. But let's go ahead and rebuild the bash patch. As you can see, that took those away, so we're going to move the bash patch down. We're going to re-enable these. We're going to rerun boss. And it resorted those for us. Make sure everything's checked, and we're going to rerun the bashed patch. So yeah, after I ran boss, nothing, this is my boss, turned out, which is good. And now we're going to rebuild this patch. We're going to click OK. We're going to build the bashed patch. You can technically bash the patch at the very end. I like to do it in the middle and just rebuild it over and over. It's really up to you guys. Okay, after bashing that patch again, we'll activate it and we will go ahead and test it. So we should have the sound again. I actually really like the sound of the torch coming out. You know, the whoosh, whoosh. There it is. Yeah. It was kind of annoying. There was no sound. I want to throw it when I have a torch out. I press 9. Dude, what? Oh, that's so sick. Okay, so out of the box, that's working now. Well, not really out of the box, but you guys know what I mean. Where we got that situated. And with that being said, that concludes the stability OBSE fixes patches segment of this guide video. What you could do is download every single mod that we're going to be using these links that I provided to have everything situated and quickly, rapidly install it all at once and do some testing. We're going to be running boss and doing some play testing very briefly in between each section, especially if there are new ESP or plugins added in on this side here. We will be reloading boss, rebashing this patch, and then we're going to be making sure the game boots, runs, nothing super glitchy. We will teleport, toggle map markers, teleport to different locations. But the fact that we got the stability programs, all the OBSE stuff situated, hopefully you were able to follow the end there with the hotkeys, is a little bit confusing, but it's something that I really wanted for this build that adds a level of immersion where you're going to be able to throw a torch in a super dark area because the EMB is going to make things super dark at some points. It'll be nice to be able to just chuck a torch to go look or throw it off somewhere, like put it maybe in the corner of a room, help light up your home. It's going to be amazing to have that situated. So thank you guys for tuning in to our second episode of the Snowy Bevilex 2025 Modded Oblivion install guide. See you guys in the next one. Peace.